Pastors, church leaders, entrepreneurs, I've got a quick question for you, and I need you guys to lean in and hear me close. It's only one question. What is the one thing that if you did it, it would make everything either easier or unnecessary? In this video, I'm going to show you how when you get clarity and when you get the answer to that question, it's going to change everything, particularly on how you show up on social media. What's going on, everybody? I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I'm a coach. And I get the unique opportunity, I consider it a privilege actually, to show up and teach and train entrepreneurs on how to think differently, particularly when it comes to showing up in the social media space. As a former pastor, I have a tremendous amount of experience with working with local churches and how it looks to particularly grow their church in a way that it makes it attractive to the person on the outside. See, many of my ministry-minded people, y'all understand this, and that is business people, we think this way too sometimes, but the question becomes, are we building what we're building for us, or are we doing it for them? Are we doing it to serve our own egos, or are we doing it so that we can attract people that we want to add value and or do business with? And I got a quick question for you. If that's the case, if the latter is the case, then my question to you, what is the one thing such by doing that or doing it, it allows you to be able to make everything either easier or unnecessary? I discovered that question posed by Gary Keller. It's called the focusing question about 3 years ago. What's the one thing I can do such by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? In the next few minutes, I'm going to teach you guys a little principle, and it's just a quick snippet of a new philosophy that I adopted that changed everything. Let me give you a quick background. So for me, if anybody's ever taken the DISC assessment, I am a high I. I'm 99% I in my natural, 95% in my adaptive. We call that the flamingo in the land of Welcome to the Jungle. Here's what I want to help you guys understand. By nature, I am not a focused person. By nature, I can get easily distracted. If you ever walk a dog and dog catches a sniff or a whiff of something and all of a sudden they take off, well, if you don't have them on a leash at that particular point, you've lost your dog or you've wasted a lot of time. That's the way my brain generally works. So when it came down to me having to focus, it became extremely difficult until I ran into the focusing question. What's the one thing I can do such by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? I'm going to break that question down to you into 3 parts. Part 1, and I'm talking to my pastors, particularly of small churches, maybe my small-time entrepreneurs who are just showing up and kind of getting things rolling, and they're trying to get some clarity, particularly so that they can get traction on social media. When you break down that first part of that question, what's the one thing I can do, it makes it real personal. Out of all the vast things that I'm trying to do, what is the one thing I can do right now? What is the one thing that I can do that at this particular point, it's a focusing question. It helps me to be able to get really clear on one thing. That's part 1. I want you to understand that that one thing is the big picture. If you see that big circle right there, the one thing that I'm talking about is the big picture. So in the grand scheme of things, if you're a local pastor, the one thing might be to reach your community with the gospel. If you're a business owner, the one thing might be for you to be able to show up and serve your entire community. Well, here's what I know. Depending on what you do, who you are, what you do, why you do it, and who you do it for, it will inform that one thing. But the challenge becomes that if it's too vast, if the one thing is too big, it's too broad, you won't get any traction. So this is the second part of the question that I need you to focus on. Such by doing it, that this particular point, when we start talking about such by doing it, guys, now we're saying, okay, I've identified the one thing that I can do. Such by doing it means there's a personal commitment, meaning there is a level of consistency, meaning there's a level of understanding that you have that causes you to have to drill deep. It causes you to have to sit in that for a second and help you understand, if I do this over and over and over again, perhaps I could get some traction. I hope this is making sense. I'm going to make even more sense in a second. The last part of that question is, everything will be easier or unnecessary. So if I put it all together, the one thing that I can do, such by doing it, drilling down on it, allows everything else to be easier or unnecessary. It allows you to do this. It allows you to focus. The small focus, meaning what is the one thing that I need to do right now, is what's going to get you through the door. For those of you guys who are afraid to show up on social media, listen to me very carefully. Your one thing may be, for me, I'll use myself as an example. So my one thing is relationships. I am a relationship builder. That's what I do. We have an online relationship academy. It's called MAPS, Marriages and Parenting Successfully. What we do in that academy is one thing. We help people build healthy relationships in the area of their marriages, their parenting, and even if they're single. That's all we do. And so every week when we meet in that group coaching platform, we literally are providing resources, providing tips, strategies, tools. We're engaging people on a live face-to-face basis because it's in a private Zoom room, and it allows us to sort of get that one thing out, right? That's all we're trying to do, is build healthy relationships. Now, what makes it easier for me is that it is the only thing I do at this time. And here's the trick. What is the one thing I could be doing right now? If I'm trying to connect to a group of married people, to a group of parents, to a group of singles who want to grow their relationships so healthy that when they get married, they skip all the drama that everyone else goes through, what I need to do is create a platform where I can talk to them all individually, or at least in groups specific to those areas. And then that becomes the thing that I can do right now in order to do that. What I can do right now to be able to make that happen is I can open up a Zoom account. That I can do right now. What I can do right now is I can now level up to that Zoom account to make it a webinar type Zoom account so that I can now connect to people in masses, and I can get 100 people in that room. Y'all see me getting very clear and very focused because I already know the big picture, the relationship building part. Now I need to build a platform in order to connect to it. Whenever I talk to business leaders, whenever I talk to pastors who are trying to connect to their audiences, here's their biggest challenge, is being able to drill down on their specific needs. In order to do that, you need to put them in specific rooms, specific categories, so that you can go in deep on their specific issue. And when that happens, here's what I promise you, time and time again, you're going to get traction. And when you get traction, things catch on fire. And when that happens, you get momentum. And with momentum comes growth. And before you know it, your business, your ministry, and everything that you're putting your hand to do is growing exponentially, because you're laser focused. I hope that added value to you. If you are a person and maybe you're looking to engage us a little bit more, there are links below that you can click in order to sign up for a free discovery session. We have a MAPS masterclass where we teach and train entrepreneurs quarterly on how to think this way and to be able to gain traction in their business. We also have an online relationship academy for people in their personal relationships. Make sure that you connect with us, because guys, our entire goal is to help people do things easier. It's already hard enough out here in this world. The last thing you need to do is struggle with growing something that you're super passionate about. If this video has blessed you at all, if it's helped you, do me a favor, like and subscribe, click the link, ring the bell, and we'll see you again next week as we do our best to add value to people who are doing business on a shoestring budget, and maybe they're trying to bootstrap their way to success.